ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hi there, my name is Landry, and we are at YALLWEST Book Festival 2026. I am so excited to be sitting down with the Shannon J. Spann, who is a debut author of the dark fantasy, a stage set for villains. Now, not only was this an instant New York Times best-selling book, but I hear you've been on the best-selling list for over 9 weeks now?
It's been 9 weeks.
9 weeks. Oh my goodness. So I thought that is so crazy. How did it feel
you.
to learn that you were officially a New York Times bestselling author?
Oh my gosh. I was in an airport when I found the news. So I was coming back from tour from my final event, and I was in the airport, and I knew what time the list would be coming in, so I turned my phone on silent because I didn't want someone to tell me
Yes,
if I did make it. I was like, okay, if I don't make it, I need to be able to process that by myself. And if I do make it, I also need to be able to process that by myself. So I got off the plane and I curled myself into like this little corner of an airport, and I opened the list and I filmed myself just in case, because I was like, I want to catch it if I do, and otherwise I'll just catch myself crying and I can delete that later. And I did end up catching myself crying, but for happy reasons. I burst into tears. I've never sobbed like that in public before. It's so embarrassing.
I feel you. I am a very emotional girly myself.
There was this guy walking around like watching his toddler, he was like trying to run this toddler's energy up before he got on a plane, and I was like, sir, and he was like, what? And I'm just bawling.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, can I tell you something? And he was like,
I love that.
He was like, yeah, you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm a #1 New York Times bestseller. And I had to tell someone, and he dropped everything and came over and sat with me. And then this other guy noticed too, and he came over and sat with me, and we just talked for a little bit, and I made friends with them.
That is the best, I think, story I've ever heard from any author. I love that.
Then I turned my phone off silent, and everyone was texting.
And then I got to... That is so sweet, and I think I love that people are just so willing to celebrate.
It was a really like human-to-human moment.
I know. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so for anyone unfamiliar with the wonderful Shannon J. Spann, you are nothing short of the Barbie of the book industry. I feel like you are killing it with the books, but you're also a marketing manager at Penguin House.
I am a marketing manager.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that happened?
Oh, like how I got to marketing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I started in Bookstagram. Which is why like I'm so active on social media and in the Bookstagram
we love that about
still, because like that's like where I started, and I feel like Bookstagram is kind of the backbone of publishing in a lot of ways. Like that's where a lot of book recommendations start, and that's often how books have a long tail within like the book industry, is like people continue talking about them because they're on Bookstagram. And not to say like Book Talk is still like, we love Book Talk as well. I just started in Bookstagram, so I'm like a little partial. When I started there, and I got really like into all of the ins and outs of how book like publishing works, and I had this like pipe dream of working in publishing, but I was like, it's never gonna happen. I was also very out there on Bookstagram, like I was a weird character kind of vibes. And I ended up getting enough attention that Penguin was like, we'll give you an interview. You're weird.
They're like, someone just let her, like, just let her know.
She's weird, but like, she's fascinating. So
we're intrigued.
We're intrigued. This was all almost like 8 years ago now.
Hey, wow.
And I ended up moving up to New York to work in publishing and doing like that whole interview and, you know, cover letter process, all of the things.
Yes.
And I loved it so much. And it was like, I've always wanted to work in publishing, and I loved it. And I got to do all my weird social media things. I get to work with so many cool authors, and I had so much fun. And I still do it. Like, I still balance both. But on the side, I was like, you know what? I also really like writing. So I was just writing like early in the morning. And then I didn't tell anyone when I did start querying. I wanted to keep it a secret. So I queried, and I was very fortunate to eventually, like, I got a lot of rejections, but eventually land an agent who loved my work. And then I went out on sub, and so I work at one publishing house. I've published at a different publishing house, obviously.
We'll talk about that a little bit later, too.
Yeah, it was just, like, made the most sense. But I get to, like, work with so many people I adore, and I love this industry. Like, I love working in books. My job is book. If I'm Barbie, my job is book.
Exactly. I love to hear that. I know one of my questions, you already talked about how you have kind of always known you want to work in the publishing industry, but did the drive to write a book, was that something that you always wanted as well, or did that kind of develop as you were in that industry?
I don't know that I really let myself hope for it very much. So I started writing when I was like 14 or 15. And I was so weird and secretive about it that I would like wait till everyone in my house had gone to sleep, and then I would sneak down with this like 8-year-old MacBook that was barely functioning, and I would pull open a Word document and write and write and write, and I would like do that all night, and I would barely sleep as a teenager because I was like doing homework and stuff as a kid during the day, and then at night I was like, I'm a writer. I thought I was Batman or something. And
saving the city with your words.
I know.
Love it.
And that book has still never been seen by anyone. Like
I do think it ever will be.
I don't know. It's still my favorite thing I've written. But like,
Gosh,
yeah,
okay.
but like, I don't know. And I think that it was just a slow process that I learned to love writing just for the sake of writing.
That's so good.
It was so long before I was like, oh, I want to be an author and I want to see my book in bookstores and meet readers and all of these things. Those were all like a cherry on top. But ultimately, I've always written just because I like it. And that's like how I've always maintained it. So, you know, even if I hadn't gotten to hit the list or anything like that, which is a huge privilege that I'm like so grateful that I've gotten to do these things, I would have been happy just to hold my book. Because at the end of the day, that's why I wrote it.
Oh my goodness. This is such a beautiful answer. And I feel like it shows in your writing so much that how much you love it. The things you talk about and just the craft in general. Which anytime I hear the word craft now, I can't help but think about A Stage Set for Villains. I know they were talking about it in the opening keynote. I was like, Shannon J. Spann, I'm going to see her later. You talked a little bit about how you are published with another imprint, specifically Mayhem Books that is an imprint of Entangled Publishing. But they were a debut imprint when you were also debuting your book. What was that process kind of like of both of you trying something new at once?
That was part of why I was so excited to sign with them, because it was one of the launch titles on that imprint. And I loved that the idea, first of all, Mayhem was the perfect name for a book.
I know. When I learned that fact, I was like, and nothing works better.
Yeah, so it's Mischief and Mayhem, with Mischief being geared towards, I think, like 14 to 16. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that. And then, Mischief, 14 to 16. And then Mayhem is 16 plus.
Okay.
And I have always been, like, the upper YA has always been my favorite kind of thing to read. And so it just felt like a really good home for it. Yeah. And I really liked what they were, going for that imprint. So it was just really exciting.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so glad that worked out for you. And then for anyone watching who maybe hasn't read A Stage Set for Villains yet, can you give us a short description of it and why readers are going to love it?
Oh, I don't know about the second part, but A Stage Set for Villains is a Greek mythology-inspired dark fantasy, and it's about a girl who's desperate to break this curse that is slowly starting to kill her. And in order to do so, she infiltrates a deadly competition that takes place in a magical traveling theater called the Playhouse. And there she strikes a bargain with its lead player. But I've heard it compared to books like Caravel and One Dark Window a lot. I'm not supporting those comps because I can't imagine being as cool as those authors. But if you like Greek mythology, and if you like dark fantasy, if you like a very troubled romance, and if you like some twists, if you like getting some twists thrown at you.
Lots of twists. I was loving it while I was reading. Do you happen to have a favorite quote from A Stage Set for Villains? And if so, could you deliver it to us, but in your best Judas Frost level acting voice?
No.
She's like, actually decline.
No, because I can't do Jude's accent. So I think my favorite quote in the book is, "You can be a great many things, dear heart, but you cannot be fewer." And it's something that, like, I would tell so many of the teens I've come across who are constantly being told that they're too much. And it's something I wish that someone had told, like, a younger version of me, because I think if I had, put myself in a box, I would not have made it nearly as far as I have, because I think all of the places, for someone who spent so much time trying to be like everyone else, all of the places I've gone that were worth going, I did by not being like everyone else. And so I would just encourage anyone out there who is, maybe not fitting in a box that they're supposed to, like, maybe that's for a reason, and maybe that's like the best thing that could ever happen to you. It doesn't mean it's all going to be easy, but maybe that's going to get you farther than being like everyone else will.
I love that so much. I was definitely a too much kid when I was younger, so I love to hear it. You talked a little bit about in a previous interview how Riven's mind was kind of difficult for you to break into.
Yeah.
Why did you still feel like it was important, though, that this whole story was told from her perspective?
She was so stubborn.
I can tell.
And by contrast, Jude wasn't. Jude was so chatty. And so I was about ready to give up on the book when Jude strolled onto the page. And he started chatting and he wouldn't shut up. And it kind of saved the book from going to the dumpster because I was so frustrated with Riven at that point. And I realized, like, it's because Riven wouldn't talk to me, but she would kind of chat with Jude. And so they were going back and forth in my head a lot. And I know I sound crazy. I'm like, the character's talking to me. But it is kind of like, you'll be doing dishes and stuff, and like you'll hear like a little back and forth, and you're kind of like, oh, that's fun. And you write it down. And then it just kind of goes from there. But I think with Riven, she was a very difficult character. And part of it was because I was cutting her off short. I was like, oh, she's just like, she's stubborn, she's like angry, and I don't love reading about characters who are just stubborn and angry for the sake of being stubborn and angry. But with Riven, I had to realize like, oh, there's like a lot more to this, and I think all of those sharp edges are actually just protecting a very, very delicate thing and a very fragile thing underneath those layers. And I think I had to kind of peel back those layers as we go through the book. And there's a scene towards the middle in intermission takes place in the snow. You'll know you've reached the scene where you see snow when you see snow. But it is this conversation where they're both kind of going at each other's like armor, and I think you get to know the characters best at that point. And that was a scene that made me really start to love Riven.
Oh, I'm sure Jude would love to hear that he saved the book too.
I'm sure he would.
I'm sure that would be right up his alley. Okay, so A Stage Set for Villains, in case you can't tell from the title. Perfect book for anyone who loves theater. You are a self-proclaimed theater kid.
Yeah.
You didn't pursue it yourself, but I heard that you love to go to Broadway.
Yes.
I was so lucky to get to visit New York recently, and I have been dying to ask you, what is your favorite / are a few of your favorite Broadway shows?
That's so hard. Okay, so if you're gonna currently see something on Broadway, my favorites right now that are on Broadway are Hadestown and Death Becomes Her.
Okay.
Both are good. Death Becomes Her is the funniest thing like I've ever seen on Broadway. Hadestown is heartbreaking and beautiful every time. I grew up loving Wicked, and then my niche favorite thing was I loved the Jekyll and Hyde original soundtrack from like the 80s or 90s. I listened to that like every day growing up, and it was my favorite. And then my favorite musical of like all time is this musical called Elizabeth, and it's only in Germany. But if it ever makes it to the U.S., I would love a U.S. like a English translation of it. But that's definitely a favorite of mine as well.
I have one more question for you.
Sure.
So the rights to A Stage Set for Villains were recently acquired by MGM Studios.
Yep.
Now, I don't know how much you're able to share, but is there anything you are able or willing to share about the possible adaptation, if not just your excitement?
I don't think I have anything that I can share yet. It's early days.
Yeah.
And obviously there are no promises with things like this. Like maybe we'll see it on screen, maybe we won't. But I will say I have had, it's probably the most common thing that I get either at signings or in DMs and stuff is like people telling me, I saw this like a movie in my head. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe you're just manifesting the movie. I don't know.
That's so crazy because I wanted to tell you when I was reading it, I was like, this would be so great.
That's what I have a lot of people tell me. Yeah. And I'm like, and I love hearing everyone else's fan cast. I don't personally have a fan cast, but I get a lot of suggestions. And it's always so fun because it already lends itself to a theater thing. It's like who you see playing the roles of these players. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm so excited at the possibility of any kind of adaptation. Shannon, I just want to say thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this for so long. If you guys have not read A Stage Set for Villains, like run to either your local bookstore or library. You need to pick it up. It is truly such a wonderful novel with an even better fan base, I would say.
I have the coolest readers ever, so if you join us.
We would love for you to come and join the party.
One of us.
Yes, and also stay tuned. There might be a giveaway coming, so if you'd like a chance to win a free signed copy. All right? Bye, guys! See you next time.